Madam Rajvi, thank you for your leadership in our time. My uncle 50 years ago came to Berlin to utter the words, "Ich bin ein Berliner." Today, I come back to a free and united Berlin, to this National Council of Resistance of Iran, and repeat his immortal words with just a small change. Man Irani Hassan. Man اشرف Hassan. My uncle's speech was a speech that echoes through time because it's a message that resonates today. The struggle for human rights that he spoke about that day in Berlin is a struggle that continues today in Iran, in the Middle East, in every corner of the world where people are struggling to be free. When my uncle addressed human rights in his own country during the 60s, he spoke about the principle of treating other people as we ourselves would like to be treated. He said that who amongst us would be willing to trade places at that time with African Americans in our country and be content with those counsels of patience and delay. My answer to the President's call for action when Madam Rajvi said that we should have sanctions against Iran, I think we should, and my answer is yes. When she said we ought to have a war crimes tribunal for those responsible of Evin Prison, the famous torture chamber in Iran that has seen the death and torture of too many who have struggled to see a new Iran, I say yes to the war crimes tribunal that you call for. When you point out the very real disconnect between us fighting against terrorism, against Ahmadinejad, but then also calling MEK, which is opposing Ahmadinejad, a terrorist group, I say yes, let's repeal the listing of MEK as a terrorist organization that only serves the current regime. And finally, when you say yes to a new day for Iran, I say yes on Nowruz as well. Let's have a Nowruz for Iran, a Nowruz for human rights, a Nowruz for democracy, and in the words of you, Madam President, Mitavan va Bayad. Yes, and we must. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you all. It is a distinct privilege for me to be here with you today. And it is a bit daunting. What is it that I could say to the thousands of Iranian patriots gathered in this room today? And more importantly, what is it that I could say to the millions of Iranians who will literally risk their lives to watch this gathering on televisions in your country? And the Iranian people seek only what all people on this planet want and deserve. That is to live their own lives the way they choose, celebrating their religion or not as they choose, being able to grow their children in peace and prosperity. And therefore, as we gather here today, and as those in Iran who would seek our support are listening, we should spend just a few minutes thinking about our options to help. As a military man, of course, one option is the military option. It is a bad option. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Is it a credible threat? Yes, it is. Certainly the United States and all of our allies have the military capacity to do something about the situation in Iran. The problem with that, of course, is that inevitably it destroys the infrastructure of the country, and also kills innocents. Another option is negotiations. Well, the entire Iranian nuclear arms program has been built during negotiations. It's not that negotiations are not a reasonable path to follow. It's that if you're going to negotiate, you must have someone to negotiate with. Someone who's sitting on the opposite side of the table with a clear view of what is possible and a willingness to make trades to come to agreement. But there is a distinct difference between negotiations, which lead to agreement, and negotiations which lead to appeasement. And right now, given the history of negotiations with the Iranian regime, there is not a good reason to believe that more years of negotiations will produce anything other than more intransigence on the part of the Iranian regime. That leads us then to why you are all here and why hopefully your fellow citizens in Iran are listening tonight. And that is popular uprising. And it is possible, and it is being demonstrated, as we all know, daily over the last month or so. Certainly in Tehran, in February and March, there have been popular uprisings. And as you look across the sweep of northern Africa and all that has happened in Egypt and is going on in Libya, when you look at all those people who seek their freedoms, it gives us great hope that in Iran, the millions of individuals who want their freedoms will have that opportunity sooner rather than later. So who is going to lead? You are going to lead. I listened to the President-elect's words. I've read the 10 points. They are inspiring. And I have struggled with understanding the MEK issue. What I know, what I have read, what I have been able to discern, all of that tells me that the MEK does not deserve to be titled a terrorist organization.